Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left.
All evil in some form or another.
I'm not guilty.
2019, a rock's supposed to hit you anyhow. You're all gonna get nuked.
Yo, back again, your boy Cuff
And your girl T.
and we are here with the Unusual Monsters podcast. So once again, some of y'all might be new. So before we kick it off, I'll give you a slight description. First and foremost, true crime podcast is the number one genre. And since my girl listens to it all the time and she got like stories on stories in her head, it's not so intriguing to me to listen to the audios. It's only intriguing when she speaks upon it or if I watch a TV series or documentary. So I figure with it being the number one genre and the way she's speaking upon it being so intriguing for a person like me who doesn't even really are not super into these things, I figured we start a podcast together. So far so good. So once again, I appreciate everyone who's been rocking with us so far. And we got more fire content coming to y'all. But real quick, you want to say a little something before we kick it off?
Well, once again, if you haven't checked out that first episode, go check it out about the Stockton Cali killer. It's on YouTube. Working on getting it on all the podcasts, but it's for sure on Anchor. So if you got Anchor, go tune in.
Also on Spotify for sure too.
Yep. Go check it out, and I just want to appreciate all the love we've been getting for it so far. So hopefully it's something that you like. Keep tuning in, and yeah, I got something good today.
Yeah, this girl got about 100 pages of notes, so we're gonna go ahead and hop into this and see what she gonna take my mind today. So what you got for us?
All right, y'all. Today we're gonna call the episode 3 "The Choke and Stroke Killer." Ooh, choke and stroke. What y'all know about that? How you feel about that name? Because that actually was his nickname.
It makes it made me feel like he was strangling people and yeah.
You might be onto something there.
Yeah.
And then
then real quick, just for YouTube purposes, because you new to it. In the first 2 minutes we can't curse. That's why I ain't curse. And then also, I ain't like a blunt yet neither because the first 2 minutes. For those listening to audio, we're also on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, all like she said, you know what I'm saying? But you can't say the R word. So we want to say grape instead of saying, just say grape. Or if you got something different that you can use.
I'll figure out something.
Yeah, kick it off for what you got for us tonight.
All right. So like I was saying, we're going to talk about Mr. Sam is his name, A.K.A. the Choke and Stroke Killer. Okay? Mm-hmm. So let's get into this man. So
before you kick it off, I always got to comment on their names because I did it from podcasts once. I'm going to do it every time. Listen, man, his name sounds horrific because to me it paints a picture to exactly what he was doing. But if I'm gonna keep the same energy as far as the whole name thing, it's kind of a thing we're gonna do beginning every time. They gave him a name that sticks. You know what I'm saying? It's a name that sticks. So this name ain't trash like the first. What was the first one? The Stockton Killer?
Yeah.
That shit was garbage.
Yeah.
Good episode. Hey, check that out. Episode 1, The Stockton Killer. But I'm gonna stop interrupting and go ahead and kick it off for us.
All right, y'all. So look, I'm gonna always like to give a little backstory about this one. He got a backstory. The last episode for the Killer Nurse, episode 2, she didn't really have much background, but this, yeah, you can see where we went wrong early on with this dude. So with that being said, as always, he had a lot of victims here, between 60 confirmed and 93 claimed. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna go through all these victims. I'm gonna get into a few stories of a few of them. But my man was out here going crazy. It's crazy, and he was cocky. I don't like a cocky killer. Like, he was cocky. He didn't think he was gonna get caught. But anyway, let's get into it. So today we're talking about Mr. Samuel Little. He was originally born Samuel McDowell. He was born to a 16-year-old prostitute and her 19-year-old client, Bessie and Paul McDowell. Not too long after he was born, his family went ahead and upped and moved to Lorain, Ohio, where he was mostly raised by his grandmother. Those early years is pretty cool, and then we get into high school. Sheesh. This man would say by his own accord, his own account, that he started having fantasies about strangling women, started as early as kindergarten. where he's seen his teacher, like I guess she was in class and maybe she scratched her neck or something. Like ever since then in kindergarten, he was thinking about strangling women.
That's
Cool.
weird, but okay.
See where we going with
So
this.
he's seen his teacher scratch her neck.
Neck in kindergarten. It literally says, I have it in quotes, by his own words. That's what kicked this all off.
Say on as much as you can.
That's what kicked this all off. So, once he got into high school, trouble began. So he attended Hawthorne Junior High School, where he had problems with discipline and academic problems right off the bat. So, yeah. And I'm not even sure if it's because his parents were so young while his grandmother ended up taking care of him, but I'm going to assume that then it seems like parents was living a crazy life. And his grandmother had her work cut out for her. Because once in high school, he would actually collect true crime magazines and fantasize. In those magazines, they had pictures of women being choked and in different um, you know, I don't know, poses or whatever, and he would fantasize and get off sexually as well by looking at these true crime magazines, collecting them, and getting off to the pictures of the women being strangled and choked at the crime scene or whatever the crime scene was. Crazy. Mind you, this is all in high school. We ain't even got nowhere yet.
Man, yeah, he was out here wilding early.
So once we got past that, shortly after, I want to say around 1956 is when he started long list of criminal history. So pretty early on, he started his criminal career. So in 1956, he was convicted of breaking and entering into a private property in Nebraska, which turned out to be a furniture store or whatever, where he was held in an institution for juveniles. So he went to juvie for a good little amount of time. He spent there, he didn't get out to about the 1960s. And once he moved, got out of juvie, he ended up booking it right away to Florida. I don't know what he thought he was going to do in Florida, but for whatever reason, he booked it as soon as he got out of juvie to Florida. And boy, oh boy. While I was in Florida, he did little odd ends of jobs. At this time, he was about in his either late teens, early 20s. He used to work at cemeteries. Like, my man is a creep.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he used to work
I've
at
heard
the
about a good
cemeteries.
amount of killers and stuff, the serial killers and stuff like that. They they worked at cemetery at some point.
Yeah, it's the two odd jobs. He worked at cemeteries, and then he would say that he worked as an ambulance attendant. I don't know what that is because I thought if you on an ambulance, you like a paramedic, you out here saving lives, and he ain't have no schooling for none of this shit. So that's what he says he was, but I definitely believe that he worked in the cemeteries because yeah. So some of just the backgrounds when he was younger, before we get into all the killing and stuff, he had DIYs, fraud, shoplifting.
DRY, what's that?
I said DRYs, DUIs. Lord, Jesus,
oh, okay. I'm
edit
sorry.
that.
I'm like,
I'm reading off the paper, y'all. So just so y'all know, I do all this research. My hands suck. The handwriting like suck ass. But anyway, yeah. So shoplifting, a lot of petty crimes. He did have aggravated assault and rape was going on early on. So that all took place between his 16 and probably after he got out of jail, 19, early 20s.
Right. Oh man! So the boy went from kindergarten. He's seen a little scratch. The teacher scratch your neck, and that triggers something. You know, as you go on and you keep going, you know what I'm saying? Like a common thing that comes to my head is I always wonder if these people have some sort of mental issues. To see someone scratching their neck and that lead to having a fantasy of strangling someone, to me, is like this how I view it. Like you have to have some type of mental unbalance.
That, and we never know because they don't, they don't go into good detail. But I would assume maybe his lifestyle before he moved to his grandma. You never know what he's seeing. His mom was a prostitute, so you never know if he was around this while she was. You know what I'm saying? And with prostitution, these ladies endure some weird shit. It's men
he could have seen his mom
getting
choked out.
You know what I'm saying? Some weird shit. So
his dad might have choked his mom out. Was beating his mom, and that's why the grandma took.
You know what I'm saying?
It could be,
knows?
yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Moral story,
ahead,
with his grandma. And then they would say while he was in jail for doing these little various crimes, this nigga would pick up. It's not a good thing. I get it. You got to pass time in there. He picked up boxing, and he would refer to himself as like a heavyweight. Like he thought he was the shit, prize winner, knocking niggas out in jail. So he picked up this boxing thing. So this nigga is strong. First of all, let's just keep that in mind. He's strong as shit. In 1961, that's when he broke. After then is when he broke into the furniture store. He broke in, got out in 1964. and he still was on his. There's a lot of crime going on. I don't really list, but all the way up into 1975, he had been arrested 25 times in 11 states. So the man was out here moving before he even started his killing spree. So that's just a little backstory about him to set the tone that this nigga is wild.
He's wild, for real.
Wow. So let's just get into it. In 1982, Sam was arrested, and I'm gonna fuck this up. Pascagoula, Mississippi. I'm sorry to my Mississippi folks down there. And he was charged actually with his first victim, the murder of 22-year-old Melinda Rose Lapre. I hope I said that right.
Rest in peace.
And she had went missing in September. So a little bit about her. I did find somewhere where her brother was spoken her. She seemed to be a very happy young lady. She was a musician. She taught herself how to play like damn near every instrument and seemed to be really happy about life is what her brother was saying about her. She actually, some things had went wrong in her life, so she had ran away when she encountered Sam.
Oh man.
She was a runaway. And you'll start to see a pattern here with how he picked his victims as we go on. But yeah, so she was a runaway, and at the time she was doing heavy cocaine with her and her boyfriend. Boyfriend trash, he was her pimp, so it's a lot of pimps and hoes going on around here. He used to pimp her out for money and shit like that. And it just so happens, I think he picked her up as the trick. It don't really go into detail, but her body ended up being found. By the time they found her body, it was heavily decomposed. It was no physical evidence left, and she was naked. You know, all the victims were naked. I can't even. Excuse me, y'all. And the reason why he picked her because he said because he remembered when he did he didn't get caught until like years later, more recent, if you will, and he still remembered like damn near all of his victims. Keep in mind, I said he had 60 that were confirmed that he did kill, and 93 that he's associated with. That it's a good possibility he did kill them. Um, and he picked her because she was young, a runaway. He thought nobody would miss her. Like he figured she had no family, nobody would go.
Makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? So while he was being investigated for that, because when we started off with him being arrested for her, um, because witnesses had said, am I confusing them? Oh yeah. So once he was being investigated for her, right? While he was being investigated for her, there was another young lady at the same time that ended up being found. Her name was Patricia Ann Mount. She was 26 years old. Her body was found in September as well of 1982. And according to witnesses, she was last seen with Sam. They were out. They had been out somewhere at like a bar or a club or something like that. And he was seen leaving with her and getting into his station wagon. Key piece here, the station wagon. So you're going to hear a lot about the fucking station wagon because I believe, it don't say, but I'm going to say he committed most of these crimes in the station wagon. It just seemed because every witness, like it was so many stories. Every one of them witnesses that same station wagon. Like it's
So
crazy.
he kept moving around for years and years in different states.
In different states with the same station wagon. Like yo,
so he was driving state to state probably.
Yeah. Which is crazy. I mean, I get it. It was in the what was that, the 80s when these two took place. So I mean, I guess it was smooth to get away with. Um, so she ended up being found dead and naked in Hayfield, Mississippi. And like I said, witness reported seeing her at a bar dancing with a man before they had drove off in a station wagon together. He would actually deny at first while he was being questioned for her. He would deny that he even knew Shorty, that he was with her, or that he was even in the state of Mississippi. He tried it. So while being investigated, this is crazy. Like it just get into it. After being acquitted, Sam then moved to California near San Diego. So he goes in for these, and he gets acquitted of both of those murders. He gets away with them. They let his ass out.
Damn.
He gets away.
So it was basically
lack of evidence because both bodies
been...
had been sitting out in the elements for a while. They had no evidence, even though they were naked. They didn't have any physical evidence on them at all. The fucker gets away with it. They let his ass out. So once he's acquitted, he hurry up and he get up out of there. This motherfucker moved to California near San Diego. And in October of 1984, Sam was arrested for kidnapping, beating, and strangling 22-year-old Lori Barrows. She survived. His only victim that
Damn.
survived.
So he, so
like,
he so he he raped her, strangled her, and beat her up.
Yeah, and she survived.
Mm.
After that, she goes to jail. She tells the story.
You said she goes to jail.
Yeah.
What's she
Not
gonna
she. I'm sorry. He goes to jail. The lady
about
ended
to
up
say.
telling her story or whatever. So he goes to jail. Somehow he gets relief. He gets out again. A month after the man gets out, he was found by the police in the back seat of his car, the station wagon, with the unconscious woman who he had beaten and strangled as well in the same location as the Lori lady that survived, which he had just got out of jail for.
Right.
And then this time, after the lady that police actually found unconscious in his car, he spent 2.5 years in prison for both of the crimes. He only spent
That's
2.5
it?
years for the rape of the lady that survived, and then
excuse me, the woman before this 2.5 year
Mhm.
charge came up, he had strangled her, beat her up, and raped her, and she survived. Then he got caught, but they had no evidence, so he didn't get locked up.
Right.
But then he got caught in the same area
a month later.
with the unconscious girl in that van,
Mhm.
and they put both together basically for both. Now he's charged for both basically.
Yeah,
But he only got 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Is it strangulation? Like, is it attempted murder?
It is attempted murder. And the lady that he found, they don't ever say her name, but the lady that the police actually caught him like in the act doing, like, she survived, but it was attempted murder. Had they not came, she probably would have been a guy.
I'm sorry, I don't like bringing race and everything, but was this man white?
He was not.
What was he?
He's black.
How? Now I'm even more confused.
He is a black man.
I'm so confused.
I was gonna say that for the end, but he is a black man.
Yeah, I was trying not to ask, but like at that, I was
end.
trying not to ask because I figured like you might surprise me.
I was gonna save it
So
for
I was
the
trying
end.
not to ask.
He
You know what I
black,
mean?
bro.
But after that last one you just said, like he getting away like that, anyone would assume. I would think that even people of other races would assume, oh, this must be a white dude.
But listen, keep in mind, he only targets women that are either prostitutes, they out on the streets, homeless, don't
So he
have
was
no
probably more getting off
So,
because it was
the police, and then the police, if it's a lady of the night, like they're prostitutes, police ain't really, they didn't really give it as much care, unfortunately, and I feel
Yeah.
like they still don't. It's a lot of missing prostitutes out here in the world, you know what I'm saying? That's still very much a thing. So they wasn't trying to hear none of that. So he ended up,
which is very, just so I can say right fast, which is very unfortunate. A human being is a human being. You feel me? Like, I don't care what they got going in their life. If a person passes away, there are someone who cares about that person. So you should let that be known. Like, that's not something you should sweep under the rug. I'm sorry, but go ahead.
And it seems like, unfortunately, he was kind of right, because this went on for damn near 2 decades before he was even caught. I might say longer than that. My math might not be mathing, but yeah. Anyway, once he got out of prison for that shit, in February of 1987, he immediately moved to LA. So finally, he hit LA, where he would go on to commit 10 more murders. 10 more murders.
That's
10.
crazy, man.
Finally, not until September 5th, 2012, Sam was arrested in a homeless shelter in Louisville, Kentucky, and extradited to Cali, where he was facing narcotic charges. So this how they get his ass. He wasn't even going. They wasn't even getting him for murders or shit. It was all some drug shit.
Right.
So with the drug shit, the authorities was able to use DNA testing and boom, 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 boom. Because keep in mind now, this is 2012. So it's like a large gap where he was out there committing murders we don't even know about. So it don't come out until now.
And by this time, they had updated forensics and everything like that. So when he slips up, all the go ahead,
all the shit they had been thinking was connected to him, boom, boom, boom.
Back in the '80s and stuff, you know what I'm saying. For those listening, I'm pretty sure y'all know this already, but it was a lot easier to get away with any type of crime. You know what I'm saying? Like fingerprints and forensics, everything was a lot different back then. They didn't have it so much, but if you did stuff back then, you're still living doing things today. if you
Come
get caught,
your ass, boy.
everything you done in your past, and what they say, was done in the dark,
Come to light, baby.
you feel me?
Coming out there.
It's gonna come to light. And I ain't gonna lie, I like that shit. You know what I'm saying? Now,
it's unfortunate all these times.
In some cases, I can see where, one might say it's unfortunate. But for stuff like this, though, if we can catch people like this, I'm all for it.
And two, we spoke on this before because by 2012, this nigga's old as hell. So I still say lock his ass. Motherfuckers be like, oh, he old. No, lock that nigga up and let him, whatever little few he got left.
Yeah.
If you get caught now, you old as hell for some shit that you did 20, 30, fucking 40 years ago, I still think they should lock your ass up. I don't give no fuck about your health problems. I don't give no fuck about none of that. You need to do your time or whatever it is they gonna give to your ass. But anyway, where I leave off. Okay, so they used the DNA testing, right? And this is how they find out in 2012 that he was involved in murders of Carol and Eileen Elford in 1989 and Guadalupe. Oh, excuse me, I do apologize in advance. Dorothe Apodaca, who was killed in September of 1987, as well as Audrey Nelson Everett, who was killed in August 14th of 1989. All three women were killed and later found in the streets of LA. So they was able to right off the bat link them to those that had went unsolved. You know how long all this shit took place in the 80s, and they ain't catch this nigga to 2012. Like that shit's great.
Yeah, man. But once again, I'm really, really happy they caught him, and even more happy to say that they will catch more people who have done things way back when. You know what I'm saying? I love it, man.
Cool, but like they families went a long time with just no type of closure.
Yeah, but to finally get it in the same sense,
it gotta feel great. I'm
in the
sure
same sense, it's kind of opening up an old wound too.
Yeah.
Because you had, I can say you ever forget
sit
about
trial
it.
And shit like that again.
Yeah.
You gotta see the crime scene photos again. Maybe stuff that you kind of had.
No, but do they have to?
Some of them.
He's caught.
But they still have to bring him to trial. And some of them, whatever witnesses or whatever, those families, they want to, for whatever trial he did, the families are allowed to be there. So whatever witnesses they stand, whatever evidence they present.
Oh, so their choice. Yeah, I wouldn't go through the whole thing. I'm cool. I wouldn't do it.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, so
but to each his own.
Oh, my bad.
Go ahead.
On Jan 7th of 2013, Sam was extradited to LA where he was charged. And a couple of months later, Sam would be investigated for his involvement in 36 murders committed in the 1980s, which till then had remained unsolved, like I said. Man. And then in connection with new circumstances in Mississippi, so some new laws, they went ahead and opened up the LaPree murder case, which was one of the first two victims that he had got acquitted of. Sam was tested for the involvement in what ended up being 93 murders in total. And like this nigga basically went from down south. He did like if I wish I had a map, I'm gonna get better so I can have some background shit so you can see like this nigga was everywhere. He fucked around in Ohio like a lot. Like this nigga killed several motherfuckers in Ohio, Akron, Cleveland, all type. Yeah. Man. Yeah.
He was in the Midwest with it too.
Yeah. Nebraska, like everywhere. Okay. So Sam would later confess to the murders of Melissa Thomas in 1996. Sam had drawn pictures. So once they caught him, he was able to draw pictures of many of his victims that had went, to help identify. Unidentified, can't get it out. And he was so cold with it. Like they said it was creepy because he remembered like very distinct details. Like one of his victims had a teenage daughter. One of his victims walked with a limp. Like this nigga was like, it's safe to say.
It seems like he was really studying his targets.
Like
that's the word.
And majority of
victims.
Yeah,
and the wrong word.
Yeah, I don't know what we should say. I don't like to say victims. You know what I'm saying? Because that just make them feel not human. Like you know what I'm saying, like a number or something like that.
And I'm saying I don't know really what word to use, so excuse me for those listening if I'm using the wrong verbiage. You know what I mean? But
look at you. Big words around here. Gang.
Big word. Pull it out for the true crime.
Relationship podcast. So during most of the time, while he committed these murders, little quick fact here: this nigga had a girlfriend. They don't say much about her. I got that her name was Jean, but she was supporting his habit while he was out because he used to like still steal and shoplift and stuff. So they would both do that shit while he was out here just killing motherfuckers. And
She knew he was killing people.
you know what I'm saying?
She
Like
knew?
it don't say if she knew, but like he did so many, and that was his long term girlfriend. So she was with him majority of the shit. Like I feel like she had to have some type of suspicion. You don't think so?
It's so hard to say because I've heard so many stories of you never really know if it's true. But I've heard so many stories of people having we even know on a smaller scale, a dude be cheating for 5 years, 4 years, like you know what I'm saying? But maybe that's different. Is that different? A person like a dude having a side girl, or a girl having a side dude for years. It might be a little different, maybe.
I guess I don't know, but like she had to have. I'm sure this nigga came in with some type of evidence on her. She was like, "What the fuck you got going on?" He like, she had to know it was a lie, or he do it like he was like on the road. You know what I'm saying? It was very.
I don't think he came in with no evidence because
maybe not.
Them dudes be a little psycho. They be a little kind of perfectionist a little bit. They don't really be sloppy.
I guess it didn't say if he would take. Usually people like this and that have such a, and I want to say, I almost want to say maybe he never say this, but I like to think that I like fuck with the mind shit. I think he kind of hated women, and I think it's because his mom was a prostitute. He don't say that, but I feel like a lot of times, like he could have that type of, like that's what was going on, and I'm surprised that I didn't read anywhere that he didn't collect the item from his victim. Like usually, it didn't say anywhere where he kept something of theirs.
But
like,
he strangled everyone though.
Yeah, all of them were strangulated, and they will all be found naked. So I don't know what the fuck he was doing with the clothes and shit.
Yeah, man, I don't agree with Well, I'm not gonna say that, make a statement because I want to ask you. We're gonna go to the end, right? I want to ask you I want to end it every time with a little question. You know what I'm saying? First and foremost, I'm a very understanding person. Shit like this, I don't understand. That's maybe why it's intriguing to me because I want to understand it. I love to understand as much as I can about everything. You know what I'm saying? Is there a reason in your mind that is okay or understandable why someone may take another's life? A reason where either you, wait, first let me start the first one. Is it ever okay to take someone's life in your mind?
I hesitated. I just feel like I'm never okay with somebody losing their life, but I feel like things are circumstantial.
No. See, you ain't hearing me. You saying losing your life. I'm
Taking a life.
saying taking someone's life. I'm not saying someone's life getting taken.
For me, no. Like I can't.
Right.
No.
I'm saying anyone. Is there ever a reason why, like, oh, they killed this person because of that? Oh yeah.
Outside of self defense, no.
All right, cool. Is there reasons without naming them, without naming them first? You know what I'm saying? Are there reasons where you can understand why someone may resort to killing someone?
Yes. And I would like to say why.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, because I feel like in situations where kids have fucked up childhoods and they were harmed or messed with or something like that, everybody is not able to mentally break out of that. So a lot of these serial killers, and they go on these killing sprees, they develop the hate towards the man or the woman or whatever because of something that has happened to them. And as a kid, you are defenseless. So
all right, wait. Okay, I kind of want to let you finish. I want to let you land because I hope you finish. Okay, go ahead. Because I hope you're not saying one thing, and I'm hoping you're saying the other. Like, maybe you need to land for me to understand. Maybe.
I don't know. Like I hope I'm making sense. Like for me, maybe it is showing sympathy and empathy, but I kind of feel like I do understand for some of them that had some type of real bad fucked up shit happen to them as a child.
Right.
Because children are defenseless. So anything that's like a child can't protect themselves from what they had to go through growing up, especially when they're
so when they get grown, if they end up killing someone that does something that reminds them.
It's
really
like a trigger if they haven't healed, and a lot of times these serial killers end up living, be in and out of jail, be still and real fucked up. They never get out of the situation. Or
See,
get
with
to the
that
point
one,
where
I
they have the
understand what you're
opportunity to
saying.
heal. I don't know if I'm
I'm
saying
trying to
it
think.
right,
No, I get
but
what you're saying. I'm just trying to think of something
so when
that
they,
way where someone would react to killing someone, or something that would trigger them, make them kill.
and that's not even for, I shouldn't say serial killer. That's like if it happened one and done thing. Not, I don't even know, like
Right.
like how do
Okay,
you
cool.
keep
Like
being involved with something
that's a good way of
triggering
that's a good way
you
to
know what
land.
I'm
There you
saying?
go. There you go. There you go. Okay.
Like,
So not let's
so
go.
maybe not a serial
Not let's
killer,
go. Okay. There you. Okay. Cool.
but
Cool. I
like
get what you're saying.
just if it happened to be like a one time.
So I see things where like it was that one. I'm so sorry on her name, and this question popped up as we were podcasting. So I don't have her name in the notes or nothing. I'm gonna just give a slight description. It was a light skinned woman who was she was kidnapped, and was she kidnapped? I think she was kidnapped, but basically she was drug into the sex trade for years and years, and then
Something brown.
she ended up she ended up killing her sex trafficker pimp, whatever he was, ended up killing him, and she went to prison. Right now, that's an example to me to where I completely understand why she did what she did.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you're stuck. You've been going through this for years. I get that. It makes sense to me. You know what I'm saying? Or if you're in a situation where someone is raping you, in that situation, and you grab a lamp or something and hit them over the head, and they end up, and you hit the person the wrong way in the head, things can happen, and they end up passing away. I understand that. You know what I mean? Like I don't look at you like you're evil.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, like something like that. You know what I'm saying? So I shouldn't say serial killer.
But for
like,
anyone out here who are just taking people's lives because like it's a sport, you know what I mean? I feel they should go to prison for life, and also no death penalty for them. I don't like death penalty at all because I feel if you've been doing, go to prison and suffer. You probably gonna end up getting killed in there, depending on how you got in there anyway. But go in there and suffer. Let them do what they do to you, and you living terrible. They ain't let you eat whatever it is for however long before. I will say, unfortunately, you take your life because the suicide to me, I don't care what you did. I don't want anybody killing themselves. But until you unfortunately take your life or someone else takes your life, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather you go in there and suffer in that way.
I agree. And for me, unfortunately, this fucker didn't get enough time because he went in, by the time they called him, he was old as hell. So he had health problems, diabetes, and heart problems and shit like that. So he was convicted September 25th of 2014 of his crimes. He got multiple life sentences, never would be eligible for parole. So he ultimately was going to die in there anyway. But he would end up passing away.
He probably wasn't even in there too long.
He wasn't. Nope, he wasn't. Not at all. Did I write it down? Did I end up not writing down this day? I feel like he ended up dying that same year or the year after. So either 2014 or 2015, he ended up passing away. So I just feel like,
yeah, he did. I mean, but at the end of the day, I don't know. For those listening, you believe, up and down, up or down, however it go. But hey, in my head with my beliefs, he passed away, but his soul is still suffering. And that's how it's
I
supposed
lied.
to be.
I did write it down. It was not 2015. He ended up dying December 30th, 2020. I had to read my notes a little further. So I mean, he did a little
he was in
time.
there for a little bit.
Yeah, but he was on. He didn't get caught until 2012, and he had started the shit in like the 60s, 70s, 80s.
Yeah, he did some. He did some good little time. But yeah, hey, listen. We need y'all to like,
share,
comment,
subscribe,
all that good shit. It's your boy Cuff
and your girl T
with the Unusual Monsters podcast.
Tune in.
We out.